No more struggle, no more strife. If my faith I see the light, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm already here for God.
Oh, I just love getting to see the people in those videos.
It's great.
Just wonderful. Oh, my heart, just seeing everyone is so good. And for this last Sunday of 2020.
2020, yeah.
Wow. And as we are approaching our burning bowl, Reverend Maggie and I thought it was a good idea for us once again. We return to this topic much, but we're going to talk about release. And what's our title?
Our title is Let It Go, Let It Go. So needed and so much of a practice that we thought it'd be worth repeating it in our title. And there's going to be a theme that you're going to see shortly in that we're calling in on some Disney pop culture that is so wise in the practice and the constant repetition that it requires of us to truly release things in our lives that are no longer serving us, to create space for the new, which I look so forward to in 2021, especially this year.
It's so true. And we wanted to start with this quote. This is a verse from the song from Frozen, the very popular animated feature, Frozen 1, Frozen 2. This song, Let It Go, by Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, it has poignance to it. It says, "It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules. For me, I'm free. Let it go, let it go."
I want to break out into song.
I love this. It's really profound. For one thing, having a little distance. Now, when I'm feeling chaos, when I'm feeling in trouble, when I'm feeling sad or angry or judgmental or resentment, it helps for me. It's like a camera. If we're so zoomed in on the thing, the irritation, the thing I'm holding on to, that's all we can see. But if we zoom out in the camera, we take some distance, all of a sudden that situation is just part of a much bigger whole. So there's profound wisdom right there. And then it's so important that we recognize that when we're in the present moment, we are free. But one of the things about freedom is it gives us there's nothing predetermined if you're free. If you're free, everything needs to be decided because there's no assumptions, there's no expectations, there's no rules, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's only now. And that's where we can let go. We can let go of the old judgment. We can let go of the pain. We can let go of our righteousness. We can let go of the belief. What do you think?
I think that all of that and what comes up for me is letting go of my attachment to the story of that thing that I become fixated on, that event or that person or that thing or that job. It's just that it's irking me, right? And we just went through the Advent season where we put a microscope on peace and how I am letting my inner peace be disturbed when I am constantly replaying the story of how I was right and you were wrong, and if only you would see it my way, everything would be better. So I have to make like Elsa and let it go over and over again. And that's been a theme in my household, as some of you may be aware or maybe not, is that I have a full nest again. And I have the experience of listening to a 22-year-old and how she's developing and what's coming up in her life, and a 20-year-old and how she's developing and what's coming up in her life. And the 16-year-old's pretty chill, but these girls love to repeat the story. And I have said over and over, make like Elsa and let it go. Elsa's one of the main characters in Frozen. And I just think that the limitations, what's in here, and saying that what I can do is test the limits and break through. The limits are in our thoughts. The limits are what we choose to believe. And if I'm willing to test the limits, then I'm willing to push beyond that. And when I'm pushing beyond and moving forward, it's really difficult to drag the story or drag the trash behind me. And breaking through is where we are letting that go, opening ourselves up wide to possibility, potential. Creating that vacancy says to the universe, hey, there's energy that needs to be put right here for Gary, right here for Maggie, right here for you. And that's the magic of this time of year. And letting go in our burning bowl ceremony is a powerful way to create that vortex of energy coming our way. And I love what we have from Charles Fillmore, where he says that we must learn to let go, to give up, to make room for the things that we have prayed for and desire. This is called renunciation or elimination. Sacrifice, it may seem to some people. It is simply the giving up and casting away of old thoughts that have put us where we are now, and putting in their place new ideas that promise to improve our condition. I mean, exactly that. And it's a practice. I think I have multiple signs around my house that say to breathe, to pray, and to let it go. Very common sense things and huge in our spiritual toolboxes in Unity. And it is a practice. It requires us to be aware. It requires us to be willing to really look at where our thought patterns have become established, what we really believe about ourselves, what we believe about others in our immediate circle and the communities beyond us, and take the opportunity to evaluate and recognize, especially this time of year, especially as we've come through Advent, and acknowledge and honor we have grown, we have changed, we have morphed into something greater and bigger. And so the practice for me is to say, wow, does this Maggie still believe what this Maggie did? And at that point, when I've had that come to Jesus, as my family would say, with myself, and recognize that I'm carrying around old, stale, crusty thoughts that really are holding me back from fully embracing my highest good, that's where I have to get busy. How about you?
Well, you're spot on, and what I find is I'll have that old thought that I did let go of.
Uh-huh.
And then I realize I need to let go it again.
Yeah.
And that's why the profundity of our title, Let It Go, Let It Go, Let It Go, Let
Let it go again.
Let it go. How many times let it go? Probably as many times as we need to forgive.
Uh-huh.
Because forgiveness is an important part of this. Mm-hmm. And the one I have to do over and over is forgive myself. Forgive myself for holding on to an old judgment or a resentment or an anger or allow once again my reaction to the events of 2020, which there have been a few. It hasn't been a boring year, that's for sure.
Correct.
And I've got opinions, I've got thoughts, I've got challenge sometimes. And if I am ready to let go of those thoughts that disturb my peace, that it's clear to me that it's time to let this go, then I need to choose once again the forgiveness. Maybe it's a phone call and to make amends, to say I'm sorry. There's life as we plan it, as we dream it, as we vision it. There's life. And then there's life that happens. And I don't know about you, but I know that some part of me is really attached to my plan. Mm-hmm. And when life doesn't show up as my plan was, like I planned this year for there to be a whole lot of activity with us working together on some things, like physically in the same presence, like closer than 6 feet. And then life happens. And if I can let go of my best thoughts, if I can let go of my judgment, if I can let go of my vision and accept now and clear the way, then there is the opportunity for blessing. But we can't just put it back in the same place. Mm-hmm. We've got to clear the old thought and bring in the new thought. Mm-hmm. This is exampled in Scripture. Luke chapter 5, verse 38. New wine must be put into fresh wineskins. Now, on the outside, this is very practical. If you're going to make some wine, you're going to have some new wine, you're not going to stick it in the old bag unless you want vinegar. And I love the metaphysics that we use. We love the Bible. We love how the Bible can teach us something in our lives right now. And that, I suggest, what if we change the word wine to me? And then read it. New me must be put into fresh me skins.
It works.
It does work. It's new words, but you get the idea. For me to have what Charles says, a calm and a peace, a coming into our freedom, we've got to let go of our attachments, the judgments, and the opinions, and the good ideas, the plan that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think further is, when I first studied this scripture in particular, I was in Bible interpretation class, and I got it wrong. So now I'm going to share with you what I learned. That in the context of the time of Jesus walking this earth, it was a mainstay to have wine on the table all the time. It was as common as water is for us to be carrying it around now. And it was pride, and it took effort, blood, sweat, tears, time to grow the grapes and to process them into a palatable wine. Nobody wanted to have wine that tasted like vinegar or musty old dusty feet. So when there was effort that was put into creating new life, creating life substance, then you didn't put it back in the old wineskins. Yes, you would have old fermented stuff lingering from what was once in that container, but it was also at risk of breaking. It would become brittle from having the liquid inside the wineskin and the desert sun beating from the outside. So what good is all that hard work to create life substance, to pour it into an old wineskin and risk losing it? Risk having something that didn't taste good, didn't sustain you, or worse even is when you needed it and you reached for that bag, it was broken and cracked, and you leaked all the good new wine everywhere. So I just want to say, when I had that education on this scripture, it became clear to me that we're worth it. We are worth nurturing ourselves. We are worth taking the time to ask those deeper questions, to solve those old rifts, to forgive, and to outpicture what we really want to bring into manifestation into our life. And when we do that, then we also take the time to create the compartment to hold that life vitality and take that with us where we're going in faith that it will be enough, strong enough, and enough of that life force to sustain whatever is for us and our highest good next. Make sense?
It sure does.
I love it. Okay. And so we're going to wrap up our talk today with Reverend Kelly Isola, where she says that release is a cleansing practice to free us from the burdens we have carried far too long, making our bodies weary and our minds troubled. Our lives and the lives of those around us are freer, lighter, and more meaningful because we release what does not serve our greater good. I really come back to forgiveness. You know, if I'm busy replaying a mistake I made, or replaying harsh words I said, or replaying what you done wrong to me, then I'm not allowing for there to be a lightness. I'm not allowing to give room in my heart and in my energy field to invite God in and move and have its being within my life, within my relationships, within my home. And if I'm just so closed off and so burdened and my mind is so heavy, then I'm missing the divine ideas. I'm missing where divine order shows up and where a divine spark and connection and opportunity is made. And I know that I can be a bear when I am busy down here in my downstairs brain and really just tightened up and closed off from the universe. Then I am sharp and I'm short and I'm angry. And all I need do is to take that deep breath, let it go out of me, and start the process of releasing, unfolding, and opening up to what I know is God, what I know is good, and truth in action in our lives. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I want to say out loud about letting go is it's not just you say it and it's done. You've got to take some action. Mm-hmm. Letting go can be as simple as just letting it go. Sometimes it's forgiveness. Sometimes it's good for me to go for a walk or take a nap or eat. Have you ever noticed? I've noticed, like, if I'm short and I'm not breathing really deeply and I'm holding on desperately, it's possible I just haven't eaten or hydrated myself. So there's a lot that goes into letting go. It's part of our daily living of practice, just like inhaling and exhaling, letting go of the breath. So release, if we can accept release, is this great gift. It is the cleansing practice. It's our ability to wipe the slate clean, to start anew. And this is why the burning bowl ritual, which is a ritual, it's a ceremony around moving from here to here, from point A to point B. We don't have to do a burning bowl, but the very activity of it is a demonstration of something we've already done in spirit. And so that matches our outside with our inside. So this is a good place to take this, what we've been talking about, into meditation and allowing ourselves the privilege of release. And it's not going to be let it go and then we're done. We're going to have to let it go and let it go. But our life is so much better when we open ourselves to that Christ light that we definitely had the adventure of recognizing for ourselves.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.